After 50 billion overtimes later, only 2 teams remain. The matchups we've all been waiting for turns out to be the Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, normally, both of these teams would be in the Eastern Conference, and it is impossible for these teams to face in the Stanley Cup Final. But in fact, it's the first All-East final since 1980. But because of all the crazy stuff that has taken place within the last year and a half, this is what we got. And honestly, I'm happy. If I recall correctly, they met twice in the playoffs in the last 10 years. One in the first round in 2014, where the Canadiens swept the Lightning, in the most recent one in the second round in 2015, which the Lightning exacted their revenge and won that series in 6 games. Both teams have had impressive runs and look way different than what they did the last time they met. I'm very curious to see how all of this plays out. What I will be discussing here is the matchup between these teams and who will take home Lord Stanley. So here we go. First off, we have Les Montreal Canadiens, and all I can say is, damn! This team shocked the world. And don't lie, no one, and I mean no one, not even Canadian fans, saw this coming. They are playing with pure confidence and elite skill. Not to mention the leadership on this team with Tyler Toffoli, Corey Perry, and Shea Weber. But key contributors have been Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Tyler Toffoli, Corey Perry, Joel Armia, Paul Byron, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Brandon Gallagher, and of course, Carey Price. But what this team reminds me of is the 2012 Los Angeles Kings, which I know is incredibly ironic, but allow me to explain. Everyone wrote them off against their first round opponent, which was the President's Trophy winning Vancouver Canucks, which they beat in 5 games. The next round, they played against the second best team in the West, the St. Louis Blues, and they sweep them. Then in the conference finals, they play against the Hungry Coyotes, in which they beat them in 5 games to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 1993, while the team that beat them in 93 was the Montreal Canadiens. I know, irony. The Los Angeles Kings go on to win their first Stanley Cup against the New Jersey Devils in 6 games and become the first 8-seeded team to win the Stanley Cup in NHL history. Kings goalie Jonathan Quick won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs, allowing 1.95 goals a game and a .929 save percentage. Now, to tie this in with Montreal, the Canadiens shocked the world by beating the Toronto Maple Leafs by overcoming a 3-1 deficit in which Toronto was heavily favored, just like Vancouver. Montreal then goes on to play the Winnipeg Jets, which, much like St. Louis, they frustrate the hell out of them and go on to sweep them. Then they play the most well-rounded team in the league, the Vegas Golden Knights, in which they overcame them in 6 games, which I'm still boggled on how they did that, which both the Kings and Canadiens ended their series in overtime. So now if we see if Montreal finishes the job to be the first Canadian team to win since 93, if they do win, Carey Price just has to be the Conn Smythe winner. He just has to be in a walk, just like Jonathan Quick. Price has allowed 2.02 goals a game with a .934 save percentage. Those numbers are really close to what Jonathan Quick had in 2012. So the one thing that separates them is Montreal just wasn't nearly as physical. Just like the Kings in 2012, they had depth, they had leadership, they had youth, they had goal scoring, they had doubters, they had defense, they have elite goaltending, and more importantly, they are red hot. And as we know in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's not necessarily the best team that wins the cup, it's the hottest team, and you can make a really good case for Montreal. Ever since the first round against Toronto being down 3-1 in the series, Montreal has not faced elimination. I need to be the first to say that Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki are studs waiting to happen. Incredible amounts of speed and playmaking abilities that have the viewers shaking. Now on the other side of the ring, we have the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are $18 million over cap space. Now, if you are a hockey fan, you know how incredibly hard it is for a defending Stanley Cup champion to make it back to the finals the very next year, especially in the salary cap era. We saw Pittsburgh and Detroit do it not too long ago. But teams adapt, some pieces have to be let go, players age, possible injuries, etc. Great teams stay elite for a good amount of time, and that's exactly what the Tampa Bay Lightning are doing. This team hasn't really changed much of last year, and they are still stacked. Let me just name a few players. Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Braden Point, Mikhail Sergachev, Andre Palat, Yanni Gord, Andre Vasilevsky, Blake Coleman, Alex Killorn, Anthony Cirelli, Eric Chernak, and of course, Pat Maroon, who could win his 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup. God damn. Now, if you've been paying attention to the Tampa Bay Lightning real closely the last few years, this team has struggled a lot before winning last year's Stanley Cup, and I'm just going to sum it up in the shortest way possible. The first real run they had in 2015, they advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals to lose to the dynastic Chicago Blackhawks. Then they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals the following year, to where they lost a ball-busting series with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who would go on to win the Stanley Cup. In 2017, they suffered enormous amounts of injuries throughout the team, resulting them in missing the playoffs. Then they bounced back in 2018 and made it to the conference finals again to lose to the Washington Capitals, who would go on to win the Stanley Cup. In 2019, they show no mercy. They won the President's Trophy by a large margin, breaking the NHL record for most points in a season in the salary cap era. They were heavily favored to make it back to the finals. They matched up against the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round, who were limping into the playoffs, and all for them to get swept in an embarrassing fashion. It felt like it was over after that. Changes needed to be made, John Cooper needed to be fired, and the team just needed to blow up. They became a laughingstock all across the league. The next year, COVID hits. The playoff format is weird, but the Lightning are out for revenge. They crushed Columbus in the first round. They don't even let them suffer. Then they defeated the Boston Bruins again, and then the New York Islanders in the conference final, only to finally slay the dragon and finally win the Stanley Cup over the Dallas Stars. And now they're back, and they're better than ever. Now, who will win? This is very interesting to me because both teams have shown incredible amounts of adversity, and I could see both teams winning. However, only one team shall do so. No disrespect to the Montreal Canadiens for getting here for the first time since 1993. However, I just think Tampa Bay, like the last few years, are just too good. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning will do it again, winning it in 7 games. We have all underestimated Montreal this year, and they will definitely give Tampa Bay a scare. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If this team is healthy, there is nothing stopping them. And you could personally argue that the reason why they don't have 2 cups already in their window is because of the injuries that plagued them back in 2015 against the Chicago Blackhawks. They just need to stay healthy. The top 5 point producers on the Tampa Bay Lightning as of now is already better than the top point producer for the Canadiens. So statistically, Tampa Bay has a huge advantage. If you want a bolder take from me, this team is avenging all of their failures from their previous runs. They want to win so much that no one even lifts a finger in years like 2019. They want to completely burn all of those memories for good, and they just might do it. Now, if Tampa Bay wins, I'm predicting that Nikita Kucherov will win the Conn Smythe Trophy as the MVP in the playoffs. He has the most points out of any other player in the playoffs, all while coming back from injury. It is just pure insanity how impactful this guy is to the team and to the league. As for Montreal, because they do have a legitimate shot, you just have to hand it to Carey Price. There's literally no other option. Even if Price doesn't play like he has in the first 3 rounds, he is the main reason why the Canadiens are here in the first place. Carey Price is absolutely incredible, and he is easily one of the best goalies in the league. I wish good luck to both of these teams, and let's just play some freaking hockey.